You got to scoot in a little. Scoot in.
All right. I will try my best.
Attention, everybody. The views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Axe Media Group and or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and or nonprofits.
We have an echo, Matt.
On the silver computer, look up on the top row where there's a little speaker with an X through it.
Up on the top where?
On the silver computer, up on the top of the keyboard, there's a little speaker with an X with a little line through it.
How about that?
Yay.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
All right, so cue the music. Everybody can hear everything we're doing right now.
Oh, that's the best. Yeah.
Surprise.
That was me.
Now let's merge it over.
You merging it?
There. I was going to let you, but that's all right. I'll do it. Boom.
Gotcha.
Good morning, everybody. Coming to you live from Axe Media Group headquarters here in the beautiful Springfield, Missouri. Also, Matt at home, also in Springfield, Missouri. Theo, you're going to need to scoot a little bit closer to Dennis there so that we can see you. All we can see is like half your face.
Yeah, there
you go.
You look good now.
He's better looking than me anyway.
Steve, you're going to have to do the
It's the
same.
Morning Drive with Matt and Jay with your hosts, Matt, Jay, Steve, Dennis, and Theo. Go ahead and fade the music out, Brother Jay. All right, good morning, everybody. Is the music still going on? I just have to double check that.
Nope.
Yeah, the music's off.
All right, good morning, everybody. There we go. All right, so welcome to the party, everybody. This is Matt coming to you live from home. Having a lot of fun here. We got Theo.
Yeah. Woohoo.
What's up, Theo? All the way from, where is that, Theo? Is that in
Rwanda.
South Africa?
Rwanda.
It's in Central Africa.
Rwanda.
Yes.
Central Africa.
Yep.
Well, it's really good to have everybody here, and I'm sorry again that I can't be there. I do feel a lot better today. My head cold and all that stuff. So, we got Steve in the house.
Yay!
What's up, Steve?
Not much. How are you, man?
Wait, let me start this out. Let me start this out. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Drive with Matt and Jay. My name is Matt.
Hey, you're Jay, aren't you?
My name is Jay.
My name is Steve.
Yeah, I'm Dennis. I'm going to be hanging out.
I'm Theo.
Hi, Theo.
Hello.
Theo.
Good morning. It's good to have you back. It's been a while.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, you look great.
Still to this day, one of the most watched shows that we've ever had was the one where Theo showed up.
Yep.
Oh, boy. You know what
Yep.
that means? Today could be the
know.
day. You could break that tie.
All right.
Break the record, yeah.
Break the record, I mean.
Break a record, yeah. Break a record.
Broken record.
Broken record.
Yeah.
You don't want to sound like a broken record.
All right, so there's 4 people there, and so how is everybody doing this morning?
Well, I'm doing well.
Dennis,
My energy is actually coming back, and it's coming back strong.
Good deal.
that's good.
Whew. It was a long
So what brings
2
you in
weeks.
today, Theo? You're in the area again. Why are you here?
Yeah, I always have to come over here. It's like another home.
Always do.
I don't need a reason to come. I just have to come.
Well, we're glad you made it. And we're glad you
Every
showed
2
up.
years, actually, I show up here because we are doing missions in Rwanda and East Africa. Then every 2 years, we have to come back and report basically to our supporters and let them know we're still alive.
Right. Yeah.
Life beyond COVID, right?
Yeah. Have things changed there very much with all of the politics happening in the U.S.? How much does that affect what happens in Rwanda?
I think we're still waiting for change because if you don't change, we don't.
Right.
But, things have been changing. For Rwanda has been, one of those independent countries, I would say, because normally African countries get independence on the papers, but they don't really have it. So Rwanda is one of those countries that have been fighting to be more independent, developing their own countries, and just be what we want to be. And that's a big fight I can see. Of course, I don't know if the leaders tell us all the fights they go through every day. But however, whatever happens here, whatever is decided in the White House affects the whole world. So mostly Africa. So, but Rwanda is doing great. It's been said that it's the safest country in Africa, cleanest, and we look great. But the other problems that come and affect us, we just have to pretend we're okay.
Yeah, right. True.
Yeah.
Now, what does independence mean for Rwanda? Is that agricultural or economical or world economics? How do you mean independence?
Well, independence is it's just simply making whatever decision you want to make.
Right.
Because otherwise,
So you mean liberty?
yeah, it's a liberty, but we are not used to it. So
Yep.
we are still putting everything in the hands of a government, which is not probably the best,
Right.
But government has been trying to, do something, on their own without asking. When you see like our president is always almost like arguing with the people you don't see, but he sees them because he can make decisions, and some people will make a comment, they will start to call him a dictator, and he became one just for that reason. I think a freedom, we have to rebel against somebody to have that kind of freedom. So that's what he does. He's a fighter. He fights with people we know, people we don't know. But while we have,
You mean
as a
your
result-
president,
Yeah,
Rwandan
yes,
president?
our
What's his name?
president is, Kagame, Paul Kagame.
Pork Gummy?
Yeah. So he's been there. He's the guy actually fought, to stop the genocide, and he's not letting go.
Right.
Until he's done his mission. So most of the time, as civilians, we don't know what's going on. We just hope we have a peace. We got it. Economically, we're still struggling because when you have a COVID affecting the whole world, we go down really bad. It's not like a U.S. Some cities fight. We're going back to work. No, we don't do that. We get what it is. Whatever we are told, that's what we do because it's a small country. Economy is very small. We are starting from zero. So we are very affected by the economy, but as we have this mindset, we will survive again. We always survive.
So I'm curious, though. My understanding of it is that it's more rural, though you do have epicenters that are, big cities, but mostly rural. I'm wondering about your industry. Is it industry that you need or have, or is your industry more of a craft type thing, what people make with their hands?
Whatever. We are still receiving industrial companies from outside, but it's still very small comparing to the population. So most people will not have a job unless they go farming, and the farm will be 5 acres. You got a big farm if you have 5 acres,
Right.
and each one has that little bit, small piece of land you can use. It's more like a gardening, rather than farming.
Right.
So, but anyway, when you're used to live that kind of life, of course your economy is still low, but you kind of survive through that. So the economy is very low. Right now, $1 is about 1,000 Rwandan francs.
Right.
So that's how you compare it, 1,000 times.
It
So,
sounds like a lot, but
yeah,
it's not.
it's not. It's not. So we have. It's a small country. It's almost becoming the one big city because it's very small.
Right.
When you talk about development, it's building fancy, nice houses, and then maintenance is gonna be hard because
Right.
they're used to that. But then the country becomes very small. The land becomes more expensive, and then living there becomes really costly. But people are still learning how to live that kind of life. And of course, development is not what you see outside. It has to start in the mind, and that mind is not set to the development yet, but we're still trying.
So you're working on leadership, really.
Yeah,
The leadership,
yes.
local leadership being connected to the top.
Yes.
So that they can
that's-
work together.
That's kind of like the work of the church. That's what we're mostly doing. We are speaking on radios and TVs, YouTube, Facebook, all media, trying to connect the people with the leaders because the leaders are pushing to develop the country. And people are fighting against that because they don't know how to, do business.
Right.
And normally go to this open air market, sell their stuff, and go back home, eat their food, and now you're forced to sell your things in nice buildings and pay taxes and all kinds of things we don't know. So the job of the church is like, for me, I come here, it's almost like I came to school. I'm doing research as I gotta help people, especially people who are discipling, because they need to know the government is not against them. It's the world. This is how life is. So we're gonna train them how to do business themselves and develop their mindset. Then they go up and climb some ladders to get up there. But it's still hard because where do you start anyway? The starting is still small and people still don't understand it. It's more like going to school. You don't know how to read, and now they're giving you math,
Right.
You don't understand. First of all, you don't know what's in front of you. They told you to solve problems, but you don't even know how to read.
Right.
So it becomes really hard, but the Rwandan people, they're very strong-willed people. They just put their minds to it. They study day and night. They're trying to get there because they know we've been left behind. But actually, we are way up front from the other countries in Africa. But we don't want to compare with those countries. We just want to know there is a long way to go. We want to keep pushing.
But you want to lead the country.
Yeah, yes. But, we
And
want to
lead
make
the- and
sure
lead
Jesus
the-
is in the center because, Americans have been, right now they don't talk about it. But if you didn't have a Jesus from beginning, you'll be like everybody else. So now you don't need to talk about it because you got his principles, you got all the formula together, but then you think it's a smart guy who did that. But that's not the way it is. It's a simply...
For the founding of America,
Yeah.
it was the Christian
Yeah.
principles.
Yeah, it was. And when you see, I'm not talking about a Christian American, I'm talking just American. When American shows up in Africa, they start to wonder why the people are acting like this. And you always want to put other people in the front. You want to put them first, give them value. But Africans are like, it's me first, it's me first. And that is not really like we are planning to do that. That's how we are trained to act because that's no Christian and that's how we've been trained.
Right.
So, but here, you don't have to be a Christian to act like a Christian. You just have to be born in this country. So we want implanted those, principles of life, do to others what we like them to do to you. And we don't know that. So that's a simple, fundamental thing we have to start with. But again, it's good if you have a Christ because it becomes much easier,
How strong is the church for the populace? So if you have a town of, say, 1,000 people, how many of those people are going to church to learn those principles?
It's a mess. It's a mess. We've had a church, from beginning where the church came was a crusade. And you got this nice looking guy from America preaching the gospel, miracles are happening. And that's what we see, that's what we want to be. But we can't be that. So the Christianity never started from the root. It's always a flames that is going out anytime. So now people are still pretending to be those big preachers, but they are not big. So people don't understand the root of Christianity. That's why we have to start from zero, and that will be like a teaching one person at a time. Otherwise, in a big group, otherwise they will say 90% will go to church, but when you go to church, there is no message into it.
So the root, I guess, it would be it's multifaceted because first you have to understand that you're a sinner or a breaker of the law, but it's the law that teaches you what the sin is. Yeah. So you have to have the two. You have to understand that your nature is to sin or break the law, but then you have to have the law in order to know that and expose it. Is there a strong and established law and legal system in Rwanda?
Well, the legal system is still building up, but again, when you have people who are doing that corrupt themselves,
right,
and then you will not trust those laws.
Right, so they're being paid to
the
give
enforcement
favor.
of those laws is more. a lot of favoritism because what do you expect people to do? I mean, this is the only thing they know, you know. So we've been talking about corruption, and at least we can talk about it, you know, because that's the positivity in Rwanda, is that you can talk about the wrong things. Otherwise,
really
for
good.
years, you are not allowed to talk about the wrong things, because when you say wrong things, you're talking about somebody, not
Right.
that thing. So now we are trying to uproot those, corruption, because people need to know the better way to lead, and the Rwandans are waiting for that. They are looking forward to it. But then the laws are there. They want to know what the Bible is saying about it, because the Bible is
God's
really,
law.
the foundation of all things. They want to know if there's something good. But then we have another big group that is speaking against the Bible, because now Rwanda is becoming the land of opportunity, because we are set to develop. We are set to go ahead. But somebody wants to lay his own foundation, and some people really like, I think they are supported by this Satanism from US, Europe. They want to spread the word out. They want to know, they want to tell people God is not real. It's just Satan. And it's becoming more public to do the wrong things, to speak stupid stuff like, the devil is good, or love is bad, it is good. So, but they don't say straight like that. They have another cunning way to say it. So the law is there, but it's the competition against it is big also. So that's why when we teach about Christianity, when we teach the truth, we need to start with one person at a time, because one person will understand, will ask questions. The system of teaching in Africa has always been a bunch of people in a class listening to one guy, no questioning. And the church has been the same. It's one guy preaching, and that's the whole truth, no questioning. So now we are set to realize what we've been taught was lies, but we don't know who's teaching the truth now. So we got to have a small group of people, 2, 3, 5, then they will ask a question. All the questions they had in life. I've talked about in the school asking a question, and my teacher was really angry at me. But what I needed to know was, you are teaching math. I can see algebra in front of me, but I don't know the reason for this. How is this going to help me in real life? So that was more like, rebellious kid asking a question. So she got really angry at me and say, I knew they told me about you. You're a stubborn kid. And that's when I lost it. I don't want to study math. I need to know the reason. But then I struggled.
Because she humiliated you.
Yeah. So I struggled to understand the reason why we go to school. If I knew from beginning, I would be, I would have studied a lot of things.
Right.
But then now I'm studying all over again.
So
because
it's
I
so
wanna know the truth.
complex. Have you thought of, Psalm 119?
Yeah. Yes.
Where it teaches the Greek alphabet to the children, and it teaches them in a way that that makes the love for God and His law fundamental in their life, and the way they should act fundamental. 119 is basically Psalm 119 is basically the kindergarten of the of God's people.
Yes.
If you read Psalm 119, it teaches the alphabet, and with each letter of the alphabet, it gives a poem. And that poem is one that brings a person's love and obedience to God and His law. And then, of course, when I talk about, and then there's the New Testament to add to that, in that I don't mean the New Testament, I mean the life of Christ. Because most of the Old Testament books were preaching to the choir, whereas Christ came, and His actual life, His actions, and the way He dealt with the law and court, like the woman at the well, and what was that one where they brought the woman who was the adulterer, and he taught about the law, whoever's here without sin, throw the first stone. And so they reflected upon their own life and their own sin, and that Psalm 119, that they had missed that mark of loving God and his law and obeying out of truth and respect for this God. Are there examples in Rwanda that that everyone knows is evidence of God? So like here in the United States, I've talked to atheists. I've in my workplace and in my life, I'm 51 years old, so I've lived in America my whole life. And in the workplace, there's always been this atheism, the Satanism that you talk about. And it's been there, and people defend themselves against being preached to by saying they don't believe, so you're not teaching me anything that's real. Well, but in regular conversation as friends, it's universal. I've never known an atheist that I was working closely with and was able to talk to just personally, not preaching or arguing what's true, but just talking as friends, telling each other our experience in life. Not one of them, there's no exception to the rule, that they've all in the course of life and friendship said somebody was looking out for me that day. They all had an example of something that happened that they felt like there was a powerful God, not another human being, but somehow God had intervened.
Yeah.
This powerful being with the power over the earth somehow intervened for them.
Yes.
Are there examples? Is that true also in Rwanda, where in natural conversation people will say, something happened and I can't explain it?
Yes. In Rwanda, you get more.
More of that.
Yeah, because in Rwanda, it's a survival game.
Right.
So from genocide, some of us were through genocide that happened. So there is no way you can explain why and how you survived. And for the people who came from outside after genocide, they came in and they began to survive again. They began to see the reality of supernatural powers.
Right.
And after genocide, there was a short revival that swept all around the country, and the miracles were happening on the street.
Right.
And everybody had an evidence that God is real.
Right.
But the problem you find an atheist who's very strong in what they believe or don't believe.
In their argument.
In an argument.
Because they have that story of God's intervention too.
Yes, yes.
So they're not really teaching from their belief or faith. They're
Yes.
teaching from what they want to be true.
Or even ignorance.
Yeah.
It's an ignorance when you have seen a miracle. But even think about the Christians, those of us who believe in the Christ. How often do we believe actually that was a miracle? The thing I saw yesterday was a miracle.
Right.
Because we get used to that. I get sick, I get healed, everybody's dying, I'm surviving, and I don't understand how it happened, but then I said, well, it's just immune system.
Right.
You get used to that. So that's the side I try to understand the atheists, because it's a supernatural power. We are natural men. We would not understand 100%. But I say it's also ignorance, because we are following Christ by faith, not because we see him every day walking in front of us. So we have seen it. We have no reason to deny it.
Right.
But somehow, when people begin to prosper, see, that's why here, you have this saying, there's an atheist in a foxhole. It's simply because when you're in trouble, you will pray.
Yeah.
I mean, I have tried to, during genocide, I was with some Muslims. I know Muslims who prayed in Jesus' name, just because they have to survive.
Right.
So the end of life, the end of every struggle, you're going to find a Jesus, and you're going to believe him without a preacher, without argument. So I think because there's nothing is pushing people, they can say whatever they want.
Right.
But Jesus is always on that end of the road where you have nowhere else to go. All we have to do now, we preach, People ignore it, but we know we planted the seed.
Yeah.
So in that end of their road, they will come back and say, I know Jesus is real.
Yeah.
Nobody's listening to them, but we actually tell them, look, when all is over, when your pride is shut down, remember, just say these words, Jesus is coming to my life. I believe I can follow you now. And, take over. So people will always pretend like, they have other opinions, but it's just pretending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's that supernatural power and intervention of God that he reveals himself to every living human being. And that's why I was trying to say is you associate that undeniable supernatural intervention in everyone's life with Psalm 119 because it connects this supernatural being, this supernatural intervening being with his law. Psalm 119. So it uses the language of this supernatural God, and then his law is integrated into each verse. So if you can connect that understanding for the supernatural God with that supernatural God's law and his expectation of us, that Psalm 119 is very good for that as a foundation and a base, and then integrate then also Christ himself and his life and his way of teaching the law, because he taught that the law by itself is nothing really. It's the law that supernatural God has given. And that's where it becomes real, and it doesn't matter whether or not we gain from an action that we take, but what matters is what God actually feels about that action. And if we love this God, this supernatural God who intervened for us when he didn't have to, that example everyone has in life, with his expectation of us and his love for us, and that 119, you might want to check that out, because that's a really good way of teaching to integrate, like I said, that supernatural God that everyone experiences with what he expects, his law, and then Christ to fulfill it.
That's true.
So
So it sounds like one of the big things that people need to learn, and of course it's something in all of our lives, is a new mindset.
Yes.
And the whole thought process of you can do something, you can take something, you have the ability to create and build, like in the area of the finances and things like that. I know, like the example that you shared with me yesterday about the lady that was taught by someone from the United States, ironically, but and then actually did something with it and built up a business. And she was she was basically had nothing at the beginning.
Yeah, she was on the street, being homeless, and we only gathered a lot of people in the village and say, okay, we can teach you how to do business and farming corn. And she's just there in the crowd. We don't know her name. We don't know who she is. It's just bunch of people, and nobody responded really. They're just sitting there. This guy is a farmer, an American farmer who came to visit. He's got all these materials, books, but people can't read, and it's in English. They don't know English, so we are wondering what's going to happen. We're just talking. The guy's speaking. I'm translating, and after a year, the man asked me, "Have you seen any results? Any response?" I'm like, "Not yet, not yet, but." Let's believe, because God's work is never in vain. Something's going to happen. But, long ago, after the training, I met this lady in the village, and she said, I just want to tell you the impact you're having in my life. I don't even know who she is. I'm thinking, did I preach to you? I said, no. The man you brought here, who is teaching us a business. I'm okay now. I got my own house. My kids go to school. They dress nicely. They were homeless. They were begging on the street. Everything changed. And I'm thinking, give me the details. What happened? We never gave her investment. She was just listening. She was listening the strategies, because now you've been farming the only way you knew. Now you're changing strategies. Then you get enough corn, like 300 kilos. You never had a 50. So it was just too much work with no results. Now, this woman was only listening and praying, because from that day she began praying and applying the principles that she heard. She's by herself and God and the principles we gave her. I didn't know she was there, but she gives me report. I'm thinking, it works. It works. Something is working, But it's always through obedience. When the people have a passion, you don't need to say much, because they really get more than you're saying, because the Holy Spirit is there. He wants to change people. And the people who are willing to change, it's so simple. You don't need to say a lot of words. You just speak to them and they go. God begin to deal with it. That's what happened with this woman, and she really did well with business.
And one encouragement I was thinking of, because I was talking to my neighbors yesterday actually about it, or well, maybe it was the other day, but anyway, they were missionaries to in Tanzania and Kenya and that area, and one of the things that they ran into when they first started being missionaries was the mindset there was that children could not be saved. You didn't witness to children, you didn't really preach to children, it was the adults, and that was it. And so they went and worked with children and worked on changing that mindset. Now one of the children that they led to the Lord is a presidential type leader in the churches there, and is traveling around the world teaching those principles in other nations. And so, and that's one of the things I could see for Rwanda, whereas you're teaching the individuals and helping them to become economic leaders, producers, that it could lead to a time when people are coming from Rwanda telling people, okay, this is how you can be productive. This is how you can take nothing and learn how to make it into something. This is how you can change your life by taking control. And so I thought that was really neat that, here the whole idea was, nope, children can't be saved, to where now one of those very children is traveling around the world sharing. Yes, they can.
The ones who have a mind that is ready to receive.
Yeah.
Try to teach adults to change, you break them. Children are the best, the best people you can talk to. Then they can build it from zero. But the adults, they already build the stuff. The wrong things, they want to stick to it.
It sounds like such a frustrating story, and I'm wondering is, how do you keep going? What keeps you strong and keeps you going day after day, and waking up and beginning again, opening the book, turning on the radio, and going forward? What is it that keeps you there?
Normally, I hate injustice. And injustice is not always strong people oppressing little ones. It's just even the wrong teachings people have been receiving. So what keeps me going is simply reminding myself of that lady, that young man I talked to yesterday. Because when you speak hope to people, you see them becoming alive right in front of you. It's very quick. And I've always told people I love mess, because after I have cleaned it up, it looks good. It's credit to me. I love that. And so you see the mess, you feel like it's a mess, you want to run away from it. But when you see it, it's yours to clean. So every time I get up thinking I have an appointment with somebody, I know they have questions. I know they're in a lot of mess. I know by the time I leave, they are never the same again. So I got a lot of testimonies. And some young people who are really willing to change things, they're willing to help other people. But we have not been trained to help people. So when you talk to them and you see that joy in their face, you just ignore every other frustration, because you know there is a seed growing right in the middle of it. And of course, I have a lot of people who now starting to do the same things as I do. And sometimes I forget. I actually forget I was involved in helping them. Yesterday, I received an email from this young man, a friend of mine for a long time. And one time he sent me email. He's looking for investment.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing is pretty loud here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Mute your mic, buddy.
Sorry, Matt.
Where are you, Matt?
Okay, so
But you forgot. So
I am in the house. I got my headset on, and I was just getting ready to fire up the stove and make some instant coffee. Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
Don't forget to share the coffee.
So you got an email from someone that you helped.
Yes. And he sent me email when I was living here. Then he told me I think he was looking for investment. He got this business in his mind. He is not sure if that's what God wants him. Then I told him, look, we Rwandans worry too much about tomorrow and we forget to fix today. And I told him, look, there is a place right in your neighborhood. I want you to guide you there. I want to connect you with my people there. They will help you. They will change your life. He said, just send me address. I gave him address. He goes there. Then he was youth with a mission. They enrolled him in a discipleship training school. So he did it. Everything he's doing now is based on what he learned from that school. So it's been nearly 10 years. So he sent me email yesterday just to remind me. He said, this is the email that changed my life. I wasn't even close to him. I just sent him email. Then I read it. It's almost like, these are not my words. Where did I get all these words? It's so inspiring. But what he's doing, he actually got all the kids in the neighborhood from street. He trained them. He discipled them. Now they're business people everywhere. They're doing well. And he did that. And then he sends me email. He said, hey, it started with you. This is what you sent me. This is what changed my life. I remember he did that school, but I didn't remember I'm the one who sent him to it.
Right.
So just simple act you do every day. Put your mind to it. Put all your energy to it. You are changing the world, but you don't know. This guy's doing great.
Right. You know, I'm interested to know, because you can look at things and see them as though the Rwandan genocide, you could say that that's what changed you, right?
Yeah.
And surely that changed you. But when it comes to your faith and your walk with Christ, you might want to credit that for it, but in fact, there were many people in Rwanda who suffered through the genocide and survived it, and not all of them are Christians. So what was it about Jesus Christ and the Word of God and the teaching of it and the people, God's people, what was it that made you decide that that change that occurred in you from the genocide, you would rebuild it through the gospel? What was it that made you say this is the right thing?
You know, the people, the way we are wired is very different. Some people are born to lead, some people are born to follow. The leaders are always struggling, even when nobody is, because they want to find another way. So to me, I remember when I was 6 years old, we had this famine in our place because we were born under oppression. We were a tribe that was not supposed to get anywhere. And I remember I loved bananas. I thought bananas will end the famine, you know. Every time I got hungry, I thought of bananas. So one time we had sweet potatoes. So I began to do my own experiment. 6 years old. I'm trying to change sweet potatoes into bananas. The people who watched me do this, they thought I was a stupid kid. I'm doing no sense. They even told me that. I still remember that. So what I was trying to do, I was trying to create bananas to end the famine in the whole neighborhood. But, you know, I was 6 years old. When the guy called me from the U.S., go back to Rwanda, he reminded me that experiment I started already. So beside looking for God, I was looking for solution. Because most people, they are not looking for answers. They are just looking for a way to survive whatever it is they are going through. So some people suffer for nothing really because they don't try to look around why. For me, I had to look for why. People are suffering from bitterness, you know, they are angry at the people who killed their families. I am not. I know who to be angry at. It's not those people. When you talk to those killers, they have no idea. They don't understand what they did. They don't understand why. But for me, I travel the world everywhere you go. I'm asking questions. I'm trying to know what it is. So during my, salvation, when I accepted Christ, it's the time that I realized He's the only answer. So from my experience, people pray for me. They actually invited me. I didn't know they were going to pray. They kind of caught me like by surprise. What they are praying, I am receiving the answers I've been looking for. That is the peace that I never experienced in my whole life. I always tell people, it felt like taking a shower from within, and I'm feeling this so much peace coming into me. Then I told myself, this is what I've been looking for my whole life. And from that moment, I made a commitment. I will always come the same place, the same hour to pray like those guys. So more I pray, I begin to meet God personally. I will not say it's my good luck, because God knows who He can use. And those people are not completely stupid. Why didn't they get saved? It's my responsibility is to tell them. It's got to start with somebody to tell other people. So the Bible says, how could they be saved if nobody preached to them? So it keep going on then with organization, because that preacher has to be sent by somebody, and that's what we did for many years. I'm trying to look for who's going to send me. I'm already there, but that's not what the Bible is talking about, you know. It's talking about the body of Christ coming together, you know, finding.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you guys. We're out of time, but if you guys are okay to do another hour, I don't think we have anybody. I don't know that Randy's going to be there, and you know, Theo comes on so infrequently. I think if you guys are good to do another hour, we can shut down for a couple minutes and then come back and get started and talk more with Theo. What do you guys think?
I'm willing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here.
There you go.
All right.
All right. Because, I mean, we want to take Theo, we want to take advantage of you while you're here.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
I think your message rings true.
That's what I signed up for.
Your message rings true here as well. Anywhere.
I hope
It
so.
inspires me to have more experience, like I did yesterday, sharing with somebody just out in the parking lot when I was sweeping the parking lot. We started to share about Christ and God, and I think you're right that is it. It's for us to tell them, and it's for us to talk about it, for the believers to come together and to share our testimonies and to share those testimonies with those who don't believe, so that they might.
And we need to think more of strategies. Telling people about Jesus is not picking up microphone and go on the street and say you're going to hell. That's how people have been doing it. They know they're going to hell. They just need to know the other message.
You can go to
the
hell.
other side, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
You can also go to heaven.
And
You
there
can
is
have
another
peace.
side.
Cross. Yeah, there's another side.
You can
know?
have peace, yeah.
All right. Well, let's take the break and then come back with the next show.
All right, we're going to play the music. Is this working?
I do not hear music.
I don't know.
Huh?
Yeah, that's how that goes. So, everybody, I'd like to thank you all for joining us on the morning drive today. We'll be back on here in just a few minutes with more from Theo Makombe, and we're excited to have him here. And I'm just going to be sitting here trying to make as little noise as possible on the phone.
See,
Don't make it obvious.
Keep you, we love you. Yeah, we'll see you all here in just a few minutes.